Now, if you're listening to me today and working in any industry, I suspect that when you need access to a certain form or a certain piece of information, you just end up wasting so much time searching for what should be an incredibly easy document. We store everything online now and on corporate intranets, but it often seems that everyone uploads them to different places, forgets to tag them, or forgot where they put them. And I recently read an interesting and yet predictable report that suggested that information management is actually damaging productivity. No surprise there. So when M-Files announced the new findings from their 2019 Global Intelligent Information Benchmark report, where they surveyed 1,500 office workers across global regions and revealed 82% of employees report poor information management is damaging productivity in the workplace, I thought to myself, at last, it's finally being recognised. And these findings indicate that many businesses manually store information and are just utilising outdated structures across a variety of disparate and often unintegrated systems. So I thought the findings of that report would make for a great talking point for today's episode. So I want to talk to Greg Milliken at M-Files and invite him onto the podcast about how information management is actually hindering productivity in the workplace and what actually can be done as a solution. So buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way to Texas so we can speak with Greg Milliken from M-Files, who's going to tell us all about this problem and, more importantly, the solution. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Hi, my name is Greg Milliken, and I head up global marketing for a company called M-Files. That's M-Files, just like the word files. And what we're all about is helping companies manage and use information. That's often the documents they create, contracts, invoices, proposals, and that. And, so this is a big market where companies do that, but we have a very innovative way to do that. And we help do it in this unique way that really is all about putting information in context. And if you think about it, you create information, it's related to something, it's important to me for some reason. So we're all about helping solve that problem. And quite honestly, the technologies and the systems that have been doing that in the past haven't really been able to meet the increasingly complex and dynamic needs of the market. So that's what we're trying to do.
Fantastic. And like you say, that M-Files provides that intelligent information management platform that can help improve business performance by helping people find and ultimately use information much more effectively. But can you expand on that a little and help people listening that are just hearing about you for the first time understand how you provide businesses with value and equally the kind of problems that you help them solve?
Well, thinking of it simplistically is that the way most systems or businesses approach this problem is they have a place where they store their information. And that can be very simple. I mean, we're all familiar with folders in Windows and how we individually do it. And so for a moment, just think how you might do it versus somebody else. And invariably, two people will do that differently. They might think, hey, I'm going to make a contract folder, or I'm going to make a customer folder, or maybe I have a project folder, or whatever it might be. So generally, companies try to have a place where they say, go put the information there. And that increasingly becomes more sophisticated when you look at what we would call an ECM system, an enterprise content management system, and that name is changing. Gartner now calls it content services, but the idea is a system, a document management system would be a flavor of that. So that can get more sophisticated where companies have said, hey, let's go get a more powerful tool to do that, and that'll help us organize it better, and that'll help us make it secure, and even maybe let us automate some processes. But the point is, what those were all about was people had to go put things in a place. And what I often say is that is completely subjective. If you take the example of you and another individual, we each have our own subjective ways we think about how we would do that. Well, that's how a business does it too. Even in the same industry, two businesses will probably say, well, we're going to do it that way. and we're going to do it this way. And what happens there is now people have to guess where that stuff goes. And very often it goes in more than one place. You know, a contract is important to the legal folks because they have to make sure it's valid and it's active, but it might be important to somebody in sales because it's related to a customer. So does that go in the customer folder, or does it go in the date folder or impending contract sort of a thing? So the notion that has been an intractable problem, and invariably what it causes is a lack of precision. If you have to guess where something might go, generally people don't get that right. And what that's led to is no matter how sophisticated the system is, it's still difficult for people to find what they need. And what Infiles has done is flipped that on its head and basically said, don't worry about where information goes. Just worry about describing it. Is it a contract? Is it related to this customer? So those are simple tags in kind of lay person's terms. You know, in a more jargony world and technology, we might call that metadata. But think of that. That's very intuitive. Everybody knows what they're working on. You know, if they don't know what they're working on, that's a bigger problem. You know, knowing where they should go store it in the company's system, that's a much harder problem. And as I said, most people get wrong. Well, if you eliminate that and you just allow people to say, hey, that's a contract, it's related to that customer, and you're done, you've now made it possible, without worrying about where you put it, for that information to be accessed dynamically in different ways. And then also comes from that precision. Because think, if people are generally getting it right, they're getting it right that it's a contract or that it's a proposal, because that's not hard. They know that. And they know that that contract is related to this project or this customer. From that precision comes accuracy. And that, in a nutshell, is kind of the core. Think of this. I'll leave you with one analogy on this point. Think of the old way we did music on the iPhone, or the folks who had iPhone. You'd put music on the device. You wouldn't put it in, well, I'm going to put this in the Al Green folder, or I'm going to put that in the Crusaders folder. You just put the music on the device. And then the device would determine, through metadata underneath, what that music was. And now you could consume it however you wanted. You could consume it like by genre or by album or by artist or by date, by playlist. Take that concept and generalize it to the business environment, and that's how we do it. We do it differently. And it's intuitive, and it's just way more powerful and dynamic.